In this episode, we are headed out to a ghost town on an island in Silicon Valley.
There's going to be a lot to learn and a lot to check out, so let's do it. We are heading out for another solo backpacking adventure. This time we are headed out to a ghost town from the 1800s that's been abandoned for almost 100 years. Yep, I am back on the West Coast in California. Unfortunately, I had to call the road trip off early. I had an emergency situation come up and had to book it back here. Now, it was not an easy decision to make. I had planned to tour the entire country here. Just made it up to Maine. It felt like the promised land of outdoor activities, and just had no choice but to come back here. So we got back on the road from the coast of Maine back to the coast of California. Literally one end of the continent to the other. That was a lot of driving, and I did it in just 4 days. It was like 12 hours a day of driving. That was really intense, but very scenic. Now the rest of the road trip, it is postponed. It's not canceled. So I still plan to head back on up there to New England, Midwest, the Pacific Northwest. That whole road trip, I am still looking forward to it. What is all this? Did a skunk get eaten here or what, man? Kind of smells skunky, wow. Now enough with that little update. What about the spot we are headed out to now? I want to thank Jim for letting me know about this spot. He has a ton of wisdom about the area here, and I don't know if I would have found this spot without him. This ghost town was once known as Drawbridge, California, also Saline City. It was formed in the late 1800s. It was originally all marshland here until the South Pacific Coast Railroad Company came through and started laying tracks. They formed a little man-made island and had to use 2 drawbridges to get across. So the very first settler on the island was the drawbridge operator. He built his home there, and soon a lot more followed. This was a prime location in the middle of marshland for duck hunters, fishermen, and eventually entire families who would build their vacation homes or summer homes there. As the town grew in popularity, the train made more and more stops there every day, and it was really a thriving community at one point. The town peaked in 1928 with over 90 buildings, including homes, hotels, cabins, vacation homes. But it never had a town council, school, police department, fire department. They pretty much took care of themselves out here. There was access to water here with a yearly fee of $5. Electricity came in 1931. Eventually the area became overfished, overhunted, with dwindling waterfowl populations as well as fish due to pollution. And when the Great Depression hit, that was pretty much it. People started moving out, and eventually by 1955, the train no longer stopped here. In the 60s and 70s, there were rumors going around that people abandoned their homes fully furnished with valuables. The very last resident of Drawbridge ended up moving out in the 70s, but up until that point, he had to deal with numerous break-ins. Several of the times that people were breaking into this last resident's home, they were met with the barrel of a shotgun and quickly escorted out. And the island has actually been sinking every single year. You'll see what effect that had on all the buildings once we get there. Now a lot of wildlife has returned, starting to reclaim this space. It's home to some endemic species of birds and a particular mouse that you can only find here. Now these salt ponds here, if you look at them from a plane or from satellite view on a map, they can just be so vibrantly colored, really kind of otherworldly looking. People had noticed that there were some natural ponds that would dry up in the late summer and leave behind tons of salt, literally tons of salt. So of course industry came in and found a way to harvest it. They made lots of artificial salt ponds, which build up with salt from the bay all year long to get harvested in the summer. They ship this salt all around the world for industrial and manufacturing purposes. Well, we've got about 2 miles left to go, so let's not waste any time. Man, we are so close, but we are not there yet. We've got an active railroad bridge to cover. It's this all along here. Needless to say, you do not want to be on there when a train is coming because it's only one track. So we got to time this up just right with Amtrak. We have the Capital Corridor line that comes through here. That train should be coming by here any minute now. And as soon as it does, we are bolting across, man. I'm not gonna wait. Gonna take a second to sit down, hopefully stay out the way of the train. And look, we've got some pickleweed right here. This stuff is actually edible. You can make salads, you can blanch them, use them in a stir fry. Here it is. All right. Look at all that tide flooding in. This is kind of sketchy. So beautiful here. Wow, immediately we have an old walkway here. Just look at this thing, man. Of course, I am being careful not to step on any nails. Did that in my very first ever episode on this channel, and that was not fun. Wow. Looks like this used to be a path to cut across this little waterway here. Here we go, man. We are getting into this ghost town. This is not something I would have done without my rubber boots here. This ground is soggy and uneven. Wow. Got the old foundation here. Old flooring. Wild. It's an old building from the 1800s. Still got all the original wood. You can kind of see what the wall used to be like. Looks like this one was outfitted with electricity, so it must have been in use after 1931. Got some old shelving right here. It's like this used to be a little shed on the back of this home here. Really cool. Look at this guy. He's like 1.5 inches in diameter. You can see we got some wet mud here. So water does come up to this level. I think high tide tonight is at 11 p.m. at about 6.2 feet compared to 7.5 feet. So I'm hoping that that means it will not flood. I'm just gonna try my best to pick a cabin that is high up and elevated. Wow, this is like so soft and fuzzy. It's like hair almost. That was just the first little cabin. I am so excited to explore the rest of this place. Wow, this one is completely gone. Just take a look at how close the sea comes now. You see all this wet mud here. You can see if we want to get to these buildings over here, we have this muddy saltwater slough that we have to cross. All right, let's go for it. Oh, that is muddy for sure, man. Ooh. What do we have here? Now these shingles that you see up here, these are actually made from California redwood, then seasoned with some kind of oil. This is cool, man. This one is pretty solid. Just look at these walls. Wow. This is so cool. It's like stepping back into a whole nother era. And I'm gonna keep this one in mind. This could be our camp spot tonight. Wow, the mud is really taking this one over. Man, I wonder what this was used for. County jail. This is just so cool. Wow, this one was completely devoured by the mud. I don't know, this probably isn't the one to sleep overnight. What do you think? Only that side has really been stripped of the shingles. Wonder why. Got another one completely sinking into the mud here. Looks like a raccoon print right there. Another cool old building here. So cool to just see how nature is reclaiming this entire building. This old corner shelving unit. That is pretty nice. Just trying to imagine what they used to keep on these shelves here. I know it's probably a pretty slim chance, but if anyone watching was a resident of Drawbridge here, maybe a friend or family member of yours used to live here, I would love to hear a story about what that was like. You know, anything that they possibly told you about what it was like living here. Like, this is just such a cool place. Wow. This one is completely flooded out. Just look at this. This one had a metal roof. Yeah, this building is no bueno. Gonna try to head back to that cabin we found earlier. That was a good find. All right, here we are, home sweet home. It's looking pretty sturdy here. Like, I'm not seeing anything that would fall onto us overnight. So I think we are going to set up camp right down here. Oh, this is feeling like a cozy little cabin. I'm happy we found this spot. Nice. First thing I want to set up while it's still light is the tent. Oh, it's a good reminder, I do need to hydrate. Let's do that real quick. I did not drink the whole way over here, and it's been a few hours and a few miles, so. Such a nice view to look at. Okay, so this is the corner I want to set up the tent in. I think the plan is going to be to lay out boards as flat as I can and to make sure there aren't any splinters or nails. Looks like a lot of these boards are shiplap, where they have little grooves that kind of fit together. It's starting to get pretty dark, so I'm going to turn on my little lantern here. And I will be cognizant of when Amtrak comes through here. Make sure I turn off all lights at that time. I am seeing nails at the end of this shiplap, so I'm just going to be very careful about how I lay the tent down. Little fun fact, shiplap like this was actually used by Vikings to build their ships. That's looking pretty good. I'm going to use my flashlight here and really examine it for nails, because they can be easy to miss. Okay, I'm going to give this my best shot here. Well, it looks like it fits. I am still going to use a rain fly here, because being on a saltwater marsh, everything will be getting wet overnight. Well, this is looking pretty good. Just in time, too, because Amtrak is scheduled to come through here in about 5 minutes, so I'm going to get all these lights turned off. gonna start getting set up for dinner because I am hungry after today. This is nice. Cozy little cabin. Back in the 1800s and early 1900s, this area was huge in the canning industry. We got a lot of agriculture around here, and of course canning is one of the best ways to preserve it. There were hundreds of little canneries, many of which came together and formed Del Monte Foods. So we've got a nice little array of Del Monte canned vegetables here. We've got some frozen shrimp, which hopefully should be thawed out by now. And for a little sweet factor, we've got some canned peaches. So I'm going to try to do a shrimp and vegetable stir fry. And this is what I have to work with here. Got my little backpacking stove. Got my titanium pot and titanium skillet. Now obviously this is not a wok. This is not ideal for a stir fry, but I'm going to try to do my best here. Now I'm thinking I'm just going to try to heat up the vegetables in the pot and then throw the shrimp along with a little bit of butter into the skillet. So let's see what we can do. Before I can really dive into cooking this meal, we actually got 2 more Amtrak trains that are going to pass by within 15 minutes. I get the lights turned off and then wait for these 2 trains. Well, I waited over 30 minutes in the dark and that second train never came. It's pretty strange because it was scheduled, but oh well, maybe I'll be in for a surprise later. I'm gonna start getting these cans open here. There we go. And the corn is one of these easy pull top cans. Love these. Now I'm just kind of looking at the size of the pot here and comparing it to all the veggies that we have to heat up. And I don't think we're going to be able to fit all that in there, but we'll see. We got the extra long asparagus. I'm going to start with these. These are so tender they pretty much just break apart with any kind of force. And we got the peas and carrots. And the corn. I don't know how well all these ingredients are going to work in a stir fry. I think this is actually the first stir fry that I've personally ever done. Alright, I think that'll do. I'm going to add in a little bit of soy sauce. Let's save the rest of that for our shrimp. And we got the Cholula today. Start heating this up now. And while that's heating up, I'm going to start with the peaches. Now I know what some of you are going to be thinking, like, you're going to start with the peaches? You should save those for dessert, they're sweet. I'm going to let you in on a little bit of a secret here. I used to have horrible IBS. Now I'm not going to get into the details on that, but something that really worked for me was having fruit first with every meal. So now I start every meal out with some fruit. I don't know why it works, but it works. Oh, that's heated up pretty nicely. That asparagus was so tender, it just all pretty much got pulverized. I'm thinking this is going to end up being more like a stew than a stir fry, but I'm melting up a little bit of butter in this pan. Might have put in a little bit too much butter, but hey, I need all the calories I can get, so get the shrimp in there. And I'm going to add the rest of this soy sauce and hot sauce. I just think the smell of shrimp cooking just smells so wonderful. I'm hungry. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned, shrimp was one of the main things that the fishermen here were going for, so pretty fitting.
Well, what started out as a shrimp and vegetable stir fry really turned into shrimp and vegetable stew. I don't know, I still think it'll taste good and hit the spot after today. That soy sauce and Cholula was actually a pretty good call. This has the right amount of kick. Shrimp is cooked just right. Veggies pair really nicely. This is good, man. It's pretty easy to forget that we're in the heart of Silicon Valley here. Somehow we found our own peaceful little ghost town. It is just so quiet and serene out here. I was saying earlier about how an emergency came up and I had to put the road trip on pause. You know, I really don't want to get into it here, but I'm okay. Everything's good. It's just important that I came back here to handle business. But I gotta say, it is nice to be home. It's nice to see some friends and family, have a chance to regroup, get ready to get back on the road. You know, with all this going on, I know it's been a while since my last upload, but I am trying to get back into a routine, get a good schedule going. I love doing these adventures, whether it be on the road or just exploring my home turf here. I am really going to start ramping things up with this channel. This is just the beginning. Anyways, that was a great meal. Such a fitting meal, having shrimp, which is what they caught here in Drawbridge, and then having canned veggies, which is another thing this area is known for. That really hit the spot. Oh, and I think it's high tide now. I want to go out and see what that's looking like. You can see just how much the water rose here. It's only a few feet away from the entrance. But this is it. This is as high as it's going to get tonight. It's about 6.2 feet, so you can easily see how it would make its way inside the cabin here at 7.5. Well, I am tired, man. I'm going to start getting the bed all set up. Feels so good to be lying in bed now. Well, I'll see you all in the morning. Good night. Good morning. Pretty cool waking up in a ghost town here. That's something new for me. I slept really well last night. So calm and quiet. All I could really hear were the crickets and a few birds. This railroad's only for passenger trains, so I didn't have to worry about any cargo trains bustling by in the middle of the night. The little floor I constructed out of those shiplap boards, actually really level, so perfect surface to set up the tent and the sleeping pad. I did end up getting to sleep pretty late though, about 1:30, and I still wanted to get up with the sun, which was about 6:30 today, so not the most sleep, but overall I'd give it about a 6 out of 10. Looking kind of sunny, and I see a bird's shadow there. How cute. Well, I'm excited to start my day here. Should be a beautiful morning. Wow, what a beautiful sunny morning here in Drawbridge. And what a cozy little cabin we got to spend the night in. This was absolutely perfect. For breakfast, just keeping it pretty simple. Gonna have a peanut butter and jelly bagel. Bagel did get a little smashed in the backpack, but that's no big deal. I was reading that peanut butter and jelly is not a very big thing outside of the US, and that in some countries it's even pretty hard to find peanut butter. If you've never had a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, definitely give it a try if you ever get the chance. I'd say it's a pretty simple and unassuming meal, but for me, it's always so good and so comforting. Might be comforting for me because it's something I used to have for lunch as a child, but either way, it is just so, so good. On my way back to the West Coast, I was able to stop and see my grandparents for a little bit. We went out to a diner and had a nice breakfast, and that's where I was able to score these little things of jelly. Anytime I come across a little portable unit of food like this, whether it's a condiment, a snack, or in this case jam, I always make sure to save it for camping because they are just so convenient. Well, those are looking pretty tasty. Being outside and camping always helps me appreciate the simple things. You know, I thought this adventure was going to be a little stressful, having to hop a fence, cross a narrow railroad bridge, and try to find a spot to camp in a crumbling ghost town. But it ended up being so chill. Like, this was so relaxing, and what a nice trip. Had a lot going on the past couple weeks, and this is exactly what I needed. I'm so grateful to be able to come out here on these little getaways. Even if you're in the middle of a busy metropolis, you can still find a peaceful area to hang out. Oh, the sun is really starting to creep in here. I don't know if I can keep leaning any further. So anyways, even though the road trip has been postponed, we still, of course, have a lot more fun in store. Gonna be doing some fun adventures here in the Bay Area, and thanks to all your support, just tuning... Oh, here's a train. And thanks to all your support, just tuning in and watching. And it's given me the flexibility to be able to go out further, travel more, do some more far out kind of ideas. So we are going to be driving out further. We're going to be checking out different areas, maybe going down to SoCal, up to the Pacific Northwest, because that's really not that far from here. Heading out to Tahoe, Nevada, doing some exploring in the desert. I really just have a lot of plans in store. And eventually in the winter, I would like to take a road trip through the South, head on over to Florida, do some exploring over there. Have so many fun ideas. I just cannot wait. That was great. Got all of my trash packed. Also was able to find 6 pieces of trash to clean up here. 3 plastic bottles, 2 cans of spray paint, and 1 aluminum can. So this cabin will definitely be cleaner than we found it. All right, our cabin's looking nice and clean. Didn't leave anything behind. Good to go. Well, until the next one.